So step right up. Step right up. We don't need a soapbox, you'll just listen up. You'll enjoy the show. Step right up. Step right up. We don't need a soapbox, you'll just listen up. You'll enjoy the show.
Welcome to the CVC Podcast. We are here on September the 28th, 2017. My name is Britton, and we're here tonight with Nick.
Hey.
And Ashley.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, so, guys, the end of the world did not happen. We're still here. There was no rapture. There was not even any cool explosions. I mean...
Nothing.
I'm trying to think back. I think you're right. I don't think there was...
Maybe a couple more earthquakes.
Couple.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
nothing that no one disappeared, nothing happened. Of course, we talked last week that some of the folks, we didn't even talk about the guy with the Planet X last week.
No.
We didn't even talk about that dude because it was just so outrageous. We were just really talking about the other YouTube prophets.
I heard an even better conspiracy theory that we can get to later if you want to.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to start with it, if you want to go on with this story first and then go into it, but...
Yeah. Before we get started, tell everyone about our social media.
Oh, yeah. So we have social media. We have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter. We have a YouTube page. We have a... what is it? Stitcher?
We're on Stitcher.
I don't remember what you said Stitcher was.
Pandora for audio.
There you go.
Yeah.
So we have that. Do we have anything else? We haven't done
the Facebook, the Twitter.
I said Facebook, Twitter, YouTube.
The iTunes.
Okay, we have iTunes.
And we're on Android.
And Android. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So we are pretty much everywhere you can find podcasts at this point.
Right. Yeah.
So the big thing, the reason we say this is so that if you have any stories you want to talk about, throw them at us on those things.
Right.
And they're Twitter's at CVC Podcast.
Yep.
And then Facebook is
CVC Podcast.
So branding across the board is CVC Podcast. Yeah. And our website, CVC Podcast.
That's called strategic marketing.
It is. Yeah. It's good.
It's a unified marketing strategy.
It's true. Mm-hmm. That way you don't forget any of it.
So we said the world didn't happen.
The world ending didn't happen.
Yeah, the world's
happening now.
The world's happening now. Unfortunately, I sit in my house all day. I don't know if it's happening or not.
Were you afraid? Did you think the rapture was coming?
I wanted it to happen for the first time in my life. Because when I was a kid, I was scared that I would never get to have sex, and then.
But now you're married, so you.
Yeah, so you still don't get to have sex.
Right. It's. No, I mean, do I want to go ahead and work another 20, 30 years and then die naturally, or just skip all that and go get taken up now? That seems like a good time now.
It seems exciting too.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
It's a change of pace. Sounds like a good time. So what were you saying about... this is neat.
I spent some time... we're going to talk about the football stuff later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
I may or may not have spent a little time on 4chan over the weekend because I was looking for something in particular to see if it was being mentioned, and I came across this theory. And, okay, so over the weekend, there was an earthquake in North Korea, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So someone said, and I love this theory, that what they're doing is the reason that the earthquake in North Korea happened wasn't because it was an earthquake, but it's because North Korea is setting bombs off down underground to set off the Ring of Fire, which is why there were so many earthquakes maybe happening over in Mexico and that kind of. Yeah, so that's what they're doing. It's not nuclear, but it's like geological is what they're doing. Ooh, and I heard that and I went, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Also, don't go to 4chan, kids.
No. There's nothing good there.
I instantly scrolled down from that post to see something that I just sat there going, no, and I tried to stop watching a video of ISIS doing something, and I didn't want to watch it.
Oh,
yeah. So
see, this is why I largely stay off of 4chan. For the most part, I don't go there. But there was something I was specifically looking to see if they were talking about, and they didn't. And it was on Poll, which is the politically incorrect board. But they didn't talk about what I was looking for. So
the world didn't end.
Yeah, the world didn't end. What is this article?
On the 23rd. However, apparently in California, there were people that thought that it did. Really? There was an emergency. There was an emergency broadcast that went out.
That's right.
And It wasn't scheduled, and it just kept going, and there was this voiceover talking about how people will be lovers of themselves and the end days and this, that, and the other. It turns out to be a Chuck Swindoll radio broadcast bleeding over into the emergency broadcast system.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so good.
But it just so happened to be on that day, and I was like, Chuck Swindoll, of course. It would be that guy.
That kind of reminds me of hearing stories of back when the War of the Worlds book was read on radio, and people freaked out about
that radio drama.
Yeah.
Orson Welles, man, killed it.
Yeah.
Some of the articles talked about that they had thought it was a hack, and it reminded me of like the one hack in like the 1950s during Doctor Who, that like the people in Chicago took over the whole thing, and there was this masked guy on TV, and they were spanking people. It was weird. You should... Have you guys never heard of this before?
No.
I think it's called like the Mad Max hack or something. You should totally check it out.
Oh, speaking of Mad Max.
I thought you were going to say, speaking of spanking people.
No, I'm not. This is a family podcast, Nick. No, I watched Revelation Road. You know what it is?
No.
It's a low-budget, Christian-esque, well, it's Christian. It's not esque. It's very Christian. Mad Max movie.
Wow.
With motorcycle gangs and this guy with fur, and then the rapture happens at the end of it. And then everyone loses their family. And so now here's what's funny in a movie like that. Nobody can be Christians at the beginning of the movie.
Except the one preacher guy.
Except the one or two. And this guy, the preacher type on this one was a guy who works in like a pawn shop who sells guns. That was the Christian dude. I'm like, all right, we're moving somewhere now.
All right.
At least we don't have like, because I hate Christian movies that have the main setting in a church, because you want your place setting where action is.
Mm-hmm. Or when the main character is like this weakling that cowers to everything and everybody.
Yeah, that's just no bueno.
No bueno.
Speaking of guns, not that I want to like joke about this, but
what a segue.
Yeah, terrible segue, by the way. The Nashville shooting.
That was awful.
Yeah. So what's the backstory to this? Does anyone know?
I don't know.
I don't think they've released a backstory yet.
I don't think there's been a motive that has been
It's just
released.
a dude came in and shot 6 people?
From what I understand, you probably won't hear about it because the way our media tends to focus on white shooters shooting, like Dylan Roof or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's from the article, the CBS article we have, he was... they went out of their way to make sure to say he was a legal immigrant. I think he's from Sudan.
Yeah.
And he went in and shot however many people. I don't remember the exact numbers, but he went in and did it. And then I guess a guy who maybe was an usher or something like that. He
had a
young
gun.
guy, like 20 in his mid-20s.
He went to grab him or something, and the guy who ended up shooting himself. And
the usher shot himself.
I don't know. No, they were wrestling with it or something.
The guy got pistol whipped, is what the news was saying.
Right.
And like he attacked his face or whatever, got knocked down. So he ran out to the parking lot to get his own gun because he had his own permit.
Okay.
And by the time he had made it back in, the other guy had shot himself, I guess.
Yeah, he shot himself somehow, and then they're calling him a hero. Basically, he stuck with the guy until authorities got there, I guess. Is what I don't know. I don't think everybody knows all the details yet, but
wow,
especially motive, I think, being the biggest one.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that you probably won't hear much more about this story.
That was probably breaking news, and that's all.
I think that's about all, though, because it's not
because I haven't heard a peep for the rest of the week.
No.
It's not a conversation the media is willing to have.
No.
Yeah.
Not even on Fox News.
Well, and even and it doesn't help their cause even that I guess the guy was a legal
he was
carrier. Concealed weapons.
But he didn't have it. I think the gun was in his car.
It was in his car because you're not supposed to take them into public places like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of churches now though who they have an usher team or like what do you call the people?
Security team.
Yeah, a security team that will be carrying. And my sister's church once there was they were having a baptized service, and at the children's pastor was taking off his jacket to go get in the little the baptistry or whatever, and he goes, "Oh, hold on a second." After he takes off his coat, well, he has a shoulder harness and a 40.
Wow.
So he had to pull that off. So 40 gauge, not 40 gauge. What 40 caliber?
Yeah, it was 40 gauge. Holy crap, dude.
That's like ginormous.
No, just couldn't come up with the words. But a 40 caliber is, that's what and he's like, "Oh, I got to take this off before I get in the water." I'm like, "Children's pastor." I'm like, just don't make him mad during the church, right?
At least your kids are protected.
Yeah, they are. And they are.
And nobody's taking down the kids pastor.
Nope. Those kids will be okay. But
They'd have a hard time getting into our church, too. I know a lot of the people in our church are strapped.
I mean, the pastor might just take you out.
I'm pretty sure the pastor would. Yeah. A couple people in the back would, too.
Yeah, so they're, we're a safe church. Is that what is going on here?
I don't know.
Depends on how good of a shot they are. But yeah, that's sad. It's sad that we're dealing with this, but
yeah.
I mean, nowhere safe.
They said in that article too that a lot of people were asking for the why, and they just their reply was, "Well, it's evil's evil. How do you understand it?" I mean,
yeah,
it's just it.
And to sort of clarify, the guy who came here in like '96. He wasn't part of this whole thing that's going on now. So the guy's been here for a long time,
right?
So
he might have had other problems.
He might have.
So we don't
know they were asking whether or not he knew anybody in the congregation. It kind of seemed like you would target something that you would people that you know. That tends to be the crime in general. But
okay, guys, we got to talk about this big issue this week because here's what happens we record this podcast on a Thursday night, and usually if something happens on Monday, by the time we get to talk about it and release it on like a Friday, it's not a dead. I mean, it's a dead-ish story, but this one's not dying yet.
Not yet, no.
Not yet. So, we have to talk about this NFL thing.
So tell us about this NFL thing.
Yeah, I don't watch sports.
Okay, so
I know a little bit about it. I know the sort of how the kneeling thing, who it started with and why that guy started it.
It started with Kaepernick from, at the time, the 49ers. And he decided...
This was last year.
He decided that
it was
because of all the shootings that were going on,
police
there's a lot of police shooting,
which is a whole other issue. We'd have to talk about it a different time.
Yeah. So there was a lot of those issues that's constantly in the news that a police shot a black man. Kept on happening, and he said, "I want to start a dialogue about race in this country, and to do that, I'm going to kneel during the national anthem during the football game,"
which I don't think started a dialogue about anything.
No, nobody talked about it.
Made divisive. He hasn't. I don't think he has talked about it, has he?
Not publicly, to my knowledge.
About the subject matter.
Yeah, because he's not doing interviews, from what I understand.
Oh, I don't know.
Now, if I'm wrong, listeners, correct me, but from what I understand, he has decided not to talk about it. But that's what a dialogue is. And I get Martin Luther King.
Let's have a dialogue, but not actually discuss it.
See, Martin Luther King kneeled at some things. I don't know if it was a national anthem, but that was his style of protest because he used pacifism. But he also had a dialogue. He talked to a lot of people. He gave a lot of speeches.
Yeah.
And so the nature of what they wanted was very clear. And the problem that I'm having here is what you do is you make people mad because now everyone thinks it's about disrespecting the flag.
There's more to that story.
There is more to that story, yeah.
Because that was last year.
Yeah.
And then I think it had accumulated to where at the beginning of the year this year, there were a total of 8 players who were doing the kneeling thing. And then last week...
President Pumpkin decided to open his mouth.
Yes.
President Pumpkin Spice.
He wanted...
President Pumpkin Spice.
I don't like that for pumpkin spice. That's negative towards my jam.
We told you pumpkin spice was a slur. Oh.
So he opens his mouth and
he calls
in a campaign rally trying to
which he's campaigning 3 years early, but that's another conversation.
What did he actually say?
He said those sons of bleeps
guns should be fired or something.
Should be fired.
Those managers
for not.
should,
They should fire them.
So
for not standing.
one of those.
Is that him literally making a call to action, or is that just him like stating his opinion?
Tim stating his opinion.
I think it's him.
No.
Him just trying to rile up the crowd like he used to be able to do in campaigns, and nobody likes him now. So, and he got the you're right, go team.
Here's what we've got to talk about, though, is like, is this style of protest? Because I feel like what happened on Sunday, and this was the big thing. Let's get to the big thing.
Yeah.
Every team
were protesting him.
They were protesting him.
Yeah.
Like, now they say, here's the problem, because people are doing everything's confused. They said they were protesting the same stuff, but they were really protesting that the president, like, gave them a hard time. And if that's not true, the problem is perception is reality. And that's what it looks like to Joe White guy, you know?
Yeah, well, that destroys Kaepernick's message.
Yeah.
Or if whatever his message is, it's definitely going to take away from whatever he was initially trying to do, whether anybody agrees with it or not. It's co-opting it, basically.
It is. That's exactly what it is. Because I don't disagree with what I think, because he's not talking, but with what Kaepernick was trying to do and what he's trying to say. Like, there are some crazy racicial problems in this country. Probably not the ones that we're hearing on the media. So that's another
that discussion of the whole cops killing black people or whatever it is. I mean, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
So we probably don't need to talk about tonight.
And clearly it's a discussion that we need to have as a society.
Right.
My problem is this isn't, like we said earlier, it hasn't brought up the discussion.
It hasn't brought up that discussion.
Yeah. Instead,
it's about patriotism.
Right. Yep. I was going to say the right has turned it into you're disrespecting the flag, and you're disrespecting our country, and you're supposed to stand for the national anthem if you respect it, and I can't believe you wouldn't do something like that.
People have the right to kneel if they want to.
Yes, they do.
As far as the Constitution's concerned. And now, as far as the NFL is concerned, they're also allowed to kneel, apparently. Because the commissioner is not really doing anything to stop them. Now, it might be something else. It might say something else, but the boss is allowing it.
There's a rule in the rule book, technically, that says you're supposed to stand. However, it turned into a freedom of speech, and no one said anything. And so, it's in the NFL rule book. I saw it.
Yeah.
If it's in the actual rule book, then they shouldn't be kneeling. That's what I was gonna say too, is if there was something in, say, a contract or something that says they have to do it, then you're literally breaking the law.
When you get the whole entire team in on it,
but then
they're not going to kick y'all out.
Well, I know they're not going to kick y'all out, but even then,
my problem with it though isn't that you've got people kneeling, because that is a freedom of speech issue.
Right.
You can do that. It's not that you're protesting the president. It's not that we're disrespecting a flag. My problem is that you have managers who made the call for a team. Yeah, you have one person who said, in regards to one person in authority who, in regards to what that other guy, that president guy in authority said, we are going to hold the whole team back and not let anybody walk out.
Right.
As a way to try and bypass that.
And you're talking about Tomlin from the Steelers, right?
I'm guessing,
What a segue.
So Tomlin, now here's what he said later. Now, the whole Steelers thing is jacked up. Because what it sounds like is you had a good portion of that team who wanted to go out there and take a knee. Mm-hmm. And then you had some who didn't. One guy definitely didn't. He came on out and he...
but you found out later. He apologized for that later and said he didn't mean to do that.
I'm getting to that.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm getting to that. So watch what happens here. So Mike Tomlin comes out and he says, I think his name is Mike. He comes out and he says his last name's definitely Tomlin.
On a first name basis.
He says, okay, well, what we were trying to do is we didn't want to get into any of this mess. Like, we didn't want to have players out there visibly kneeling and all that.
So they were going to 100%.
Yeah. So they were just taking a step out of the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And but that's not what the appearance was. So the one guy comes out by himself, and then, like Ashley pointed out, he went back and apologized a couple of days later or a day later and had a press conference and said, I threw my team under the bus because they were trying to just stay out of the whole controversy, and now the narrative became only one Steeler would stand for the national anthem.
And he was the veteran. Well, so I had heard, and I didn't put this in the notes, but I had read some articles about it that said that they were going to either do 100% on the field or not on the field or whatever. But they supposedly, a few of them were still going to come out. Some of them had some miscommunication. Somebody was saying that they weren't actually in the locker room because he was out in front of the tunnel. They were still in the tunnel. If you look at cameras from other angles, you can kind of see him in there and that kind of thing. So I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't watch enough football.
I mean, there's a reason I say go team. It's not because, it's because it's a cool thing, but it's also because I don't care.
Well, whatever they were trying to do, it totally backfired on them.
Yeah, it did.
Because everyone got angry at them because all they can see, and this is back to what we were talking about, all people see is a divisive action. They don't hear the dialogue because there is no dialogue.
All that backstory we gave you, they just went, "Why aren't you kneeling?
Why aren't you standing for the flag?" Which I think we should always stand for the flag. That's just the Boy Scout in me. I wish, I'm not telling anyone what they have to do. I wish that could be our common ground. Well, you've got a country through all of its problems. We're trying to be this. We're trying to be justice for everybody and all that. So it'd be nice if we could start there, but it's being used. So anyway, you get veterans involved who are big fans, and they get pretty angry about that sort of thing. Weren't
there some crazy videos?
There were some crazy videos, and we happen to know one of the guys. We're not going to tell you how we know this guy, but we know this guy. It blew up, man. A guy named Arvin Gibbs. It blew up. It said he's
surprised. That was a great video, though.
Yeah, he comes out. He's got he was in the Big Red One during Vietnam.
That is the making of every little bit of that video is the making of something viral, and I love it. I love it.
I was talking to him before it came out, and he said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." And I'm going. This is going to break out. It's going to break viral because we run in the same circles, and I know his friends, and that was going to go. And
did you expect it to go as big as it did, though?
I felt it would, but I spent a lot of time in marketing, so
that's true.
I kind of, like you said, it had all the nuts and bolts of it. Yeah, I mean, there's fire.
There's fire, the flag, the fact that he's a vet.
The only thing it didn't have was a middle finger in it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, the fact that he's a vet plus the blaring national anthem in the whole thing, like that right there.
Right.
That's like when you see
and Lee Greenwood was singing it.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's like when you see
he's the man
video. There's the one video of when a hurricane was coming in, and there's a guy in the street with an American flag. He's windmilling, and Slayer's playing in the background. It's the same thing on a different level.
Yeah. So this thing blew up. And at last, I did some calculations on it, and over 3 million people have seen this so far.
Jeez.
And does that include newscasts and everything?
Not television, just what you
can calculate via the internet.
On the internet, because it was on Twitter. It was on Twitter. It was on his personal Facebook. Then you know what happens? The people rip the video themselves, and they start co-opting it and adding their own text to it on the conservative blogs. And it started going out that way.
Here's where I add in that was the exact thing I was looking for on 4chan.
Okay.
Was to see if that was being talked about.
Okay. Was it?
No, I could.
Good.
The thing, well, they move so fast. It may have been in the day. Who knows? But
right.
I was looking later that night, and I was trying to find it.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a good viral video, but we ended up seeing it on ABC News, and he was on Fox News this morning doing an interview.
Wow.
So it was. It's amazing. It's amazing when you see someone and that stuff's blowing up all around. You're like, wow, dude, like, good for you. So
I saw friends that had no connection to him whatsoever posting those videos that with the sub captions on top that was ripped from his page.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I know that dude. Like, he's from right around here.
Yeah.
So I did a little because this whole thing about some people were giving the Steelers, like, talking about the Steelers not coming out and how that's so I did a little research on like the history a bit of the sort of national anthem being
at a football
played.
game.
Well, just national anthem being played at sporting events in general, and apparently because there was I don't want to say conspiracy theory, but there was a false set of facts going out there saying that we didn't start doing it until 2009, which
in football, and that's what they say.
And I remember, being in high school pre-2009 still doing it, so that's not true. But apparently, according to the PolitiFact, which take it as you will, they're notorious for being a little biased themselves. But apparently the national anthem goes all the way back to like late 1800s in terms of like the
sporting events.
Like one of the first baseball games, and I guess a lot of it is because of money. I guess during World War I, according to PolitiFact's website, they didn't do it, and then there were declining sales, and then they brought out like a band to do it, and it boosted sales, so they just kept doing it. And so it kind of carried on, but it kind of dipped off until World War II, where they just pretty much made it a staple until now. The 2009 thing, I guess, is more of a television thing, because I guess during the prime time areas of football, it was difficult to get the players and shuffle the times for TV.
Right.
So they would do all of that stuff, and then the players stayed in the locker rooms, and then would come out until 2009 when they changed it, because I guess the other time slots didn't do that. So then they just worked it to where the players would go on the field. So that's why it's kind of, people are like, oh, they're in there. But the thing is, then it wasn't a political statement to stay in your locker room, whereas now it is. So it's an interesting look back, because I didn't know much about, I don't pay attention to sports, so I didn't know much about that as a history thing. And that's pretty, I found it to be interesting, to say the least.
And I think it was only football that didn't come out before. Because if you go to a baseball game, it's standard fare, the whole team is out there on the line.
Like, I'm not even a baseball fan, but that's the way that a baseball game begins.
That is part of the baseball liturgy.
Yes.
Yeah. So, to put a little Christian in culture versus Christian.
I did have a friend post an interesting law the other day, talking about how a president is not supposed to, by law, interfere with any sort of business decision for businesses.
So that's why I was wondering if it was a command or a opinion.
It was definitely an opinion, and it was more or less a browbeating. Is what it was. And now there are teams who I felt did it right, because I think Steelers blew it. Maybe they blew it with the best intentions. I'm trying to assume positive intent when I can.
The Cowboys, though, didn't they?
The Cowboys, I feel, did it right.
They knelt before.
They all went out. Yeah, the whole team locked arms, went out, kneeled for 15 seconds, so everyone could see, hey, they're protesting. Apparently, this race dialogue,
or the Trump dialogue,
whatever it is, they're protesting, and then after 15 seconds or so, they stood up and they all stood for the national anthem.
Now,
and I'm like, okay, that's nice. Yeah.
I didn't watch that. That was Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't Sunday. So they had the chance to see the blow up from the Steelers and go, we don't want to do that.
Of course, they had their own controversy too, because they wanted. Remember, was it last year when they were in the Dallas PD got shot at?
Yeah,
the 12 officers got killed. They had their own controversy, because I guess they didn't want to put some sort of thing on their helmet to memorialize them or something like that. So they got
memorialize the cops.
So they got some sort of controversy over that, I heard, but that one's been blown over now.
Yeah,
because apparently the kneeling thing is super important.
Yeah. And you know, maybe we've got to talk about this cop thing at some point. We're not prepared for it tonight, but man, I hate this idea of demonizing cops.
Yeah.
And it's so popular to do. Like
the problem with talking about the whole cop thing is that you then have to get into a really, really big race conversation that on top of all of that is, I mean, and if people in our position are just going to get yelled at and basically said, hey, what
I think we're too, this group right here is too white.
I think to some degree.
I feel like we have to
but I think, you know, you can find facts and still talk about it. I mean,
yeah, you can. But what I've learned is you can state fact, and in the world of public opinion, you're wrong.
Right, sure. which I absolutely despise.
I hate that, but that's why
I even hate saying that we're too white to talk about a conversation because. Personally, that to me feels like I'm playing into the progressive stack, which I think is garbage. So, I mean, I don't think anybody is too anything to talk about anything. Like, I think anybody can talk about anything.
We can talk about it, but I would love to have...
I just hate the fact that I'm less valid because I'm not the right figure.
Yeah, I don't think it's that. I would just love to have someone who... You know, the group of people who say that the cops are against them. I would love that representation here.
The people.
How do I say that? Did I just racism?
Well, no, because I think you're talking about maybe like the BLM people. You know,
I don't want them here.
Well, no, I know, but I'm saying, but for the most part, a lot of those people are the ones who are protesting it,
right?
And you know, I make the rounds on YouTube that sort of stuff. They don't like talking about it. They don't want to talk about it. And there have been people who have been like, we want to have open dialogue, and they don't go to it.
Right.
So but it's a double-edged sword for like people like us who want to talk about it, because if that's the response you get, and the response that, you know, they give if we want to talk about it is, well, you're too white to talk about it. How can anybody have that conversation? Right. Like that is shutting the door on dialogue. It's Colin Kaepernick of it.
Do we, and you can edit this part out or whatever, but do we want to include some of the comments from people on Facebook?
Yeah,
because we asked them.
I didn't get a chance to read those, so yeah.
How many did we get? We get a few good comments?
We asked you guys on Facebook what your thoughts were on the NFL anthem protests for tonight's show so that we could discuss them this evening. And Jeff says, I served for people to have freedom. I served for someone who can sit, kneel, or turn their back.
Okay, so he's saying they have the right to do it.
They do have the right. Chapman posted a picture.
Thank you for serving, Jeff.
Yes, thank you.
Just to throw that out there.
And then Stephanie.
You're just skipping Chapman, aren't you?
We cut that part
Take
out.
a look at Chapman's and then you come back and tell me how to read it.
I know what Chapman says. Just skip Chapman.
I skipped it. So Stephanie posted, I think the people that are offended aren't looking at the real reason for the kneeling. And I think we've talked about that already this evening. But I thought it was a good point. She says, you can say, ugh, there's a young person that doesn't respect the military, etc., but that's too short-sighted because Colin Kaepernick was brave when he decided to make a silent statement about the treatment of young black men in this country.
Right.
We've had violent protests in the streets for the same cause. Kaepernick took a different approach. He knelt when he knew everyone was watching to start a conversation and lost his job over it. I didn't know that.
Temporarily.
He didn't lose his job. His contract ran out. And because he's now a marketing nightmare, no one picked him up.
But he's on a team now, though, right?
No.
Is he not?
No.
I thought he was. Well, that's
how much I pay attention to sports, yeah.
He is not playing this season.
Okay.
And now we aren't talking about the real issue. We're arguing over whether or not people are disrespecting the flag and ignoring inequality. And I think that pretty much sums up what we discussed a little while ago.
Remember when Tim Tebow knelt all the time and everybody had an issue with that too?
Yeah. So basically in football, you just got to stay off your knees.
Yeah.
Edit.
Cut. Awkward laughter.
So Jason says if they want to protest, let them, but let them do it off the field. And I think this is a big argument that we haven't hit this evening, but you're being paid to do a job. It's your job to do what's required for your job, a job you get grossly overpaid for. When you sign that contract and put the uniform on, you have a duty. Just like any other person on the job, these guys are supposed to be popular, right?
Yeah.
So if they speak, their fans will listen to them regardless of on or off the field. So why can't they just make a stand off the field where those kind of things belong off the job site?
I could see that as a good argument, because if I went into a job and I was like, hey, I'm clocked in, I'll see you in 2 hours, I gotta go protest first, they'd be like,
yeah,
you gotta go, dude.
Yeah. And that's what I was pointing out earlier. It depends on what your boss is going to let you get away with.
Right.
Well, but for religious reasons, they have to let you. Yeah. If you're a Muslim and you say you have to do your 5 times of your prayer 5 times a day, they have to, by law, let you go do your 5 minutes of prayer and come back.
Right. But,
but
that's not the same as a protest, though.
Then you have the whole Kim.
Get 25 minutes off. Just do them all prayers at once.
I mean, if you want to maximize your time off from work, you have to start smoking.
That's true.
Smoke breaks. So.
Yes.
Poop break.
What's her name? Kim. Who was the Kentucky girl?
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. The woman who wouldn't sign the gay marriage stuff.
Oh, yeah, that girl.
Kim something. I can't remember.
Can I just give my opinion on that wench?
Well, I think you just did.
Okay.
He called her a wench.
Okay. Here's my problem. Okay. I get it. She's a Christian. Great. We're all Christians here. The problem is, tell me, guys, what does the Bible say about taking oaths?
She was an elected.
Not to do it.
She was an elected official and should have done it.
Right. The Bible says, don't get yourself. The Bible says don't get yourself into oaths like that.
Yeah.
So what she did, she ran for an office and she won it. And then what happens next? She takes an oath that says, "I will uphold the law." This doesn't mean you get to uphold the law
that you like.
You like, or that you personally agree with. It means you uphold the law. And she can't save anybody from that, from just because she denies them a marriage certificate. And I'm like,
that's her personal conviction, but
it's your personal conviction, but you are a public official.
So historically, the early century church were not allowed to be in government. That was a ban.
Because of that sort of thing.
Because it was a very secular society, and to be a part of the government was to declare something else a god, the Caesar. Yeah. But we've moved on to the point that we encourage people to be within our government, and I don't know that we shouldn't do that. But then we get in these controversies such as this, and we get torn between how the world is trying to police themselves and run their own lives, and our own morals and convictions. And I kind of wonder if maybe it was just smarter the way the old church did it and said, don't get involved with government, let the world run themselves, or if you give it to Caesar.
Let Caesar render unto Caesar what Caesar's, right? And just drop out of the system. Either do that if you're going to act like her, just drop out of that system. But she was making a fat paycheck on that, wasn't she? She was making good money.
I don't think she was happy about it, though. There's not a single picture of her that looked like I
don't think she's a happy person.
No, she's a wench.
She is, and maybe I'm wrong about her, and correct me if I am, but she seems like the kind of Christian that made me an angry Christian. Always had a problem with someone, always bad-mouthing someone, always having some weird conviction that ended up, it just burned me up.
Now, I don't know her personally.
So I don't know her personally.
But I have been in circles, some of the apostolic circles.
Is that what she, is that her stream? Okay.
Yes. And
and I'm not
they're very legalistic and very strict.
They can be, yeah. And I don't want to badmouth that group of people.
No.
Because I know some really great apostolic folk.
Right.
But
I've also been hurt by a lot of them too.
Well, yeah. But yeah, it's not their faith so much. It's their attitude where they think that because that group of people tends to rail on everything.
Yeah.
So you were probably when you showed up at that church, probably because you have your ears pierced, right, or something.
It's because I wear jeans and I cut my hair. Even though my hair's really long, I cut it.
See, just random stupid stuff. You have missed a treat if you've missed out on this faith stream.
No, I know Apostolics.
Okay, yeah.
No, I went to high school with a few of them. They're really nice. The one that I knew.
Those denim skirts, though, are on point.
They are.
Yeah, those are great.
They're awful to wear.
Did you have to wear them?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's every weekend.
That's what happens when you date one.
That's why I pull out my kilt, man. No, it's not for men, though, is it?
No.
Oh, that would be wrong.
That was my argument.
They should all wear skirts. Every one of them.
Every one of them. So what else was said on our Facebook? We took a left turn there.
Brandon said that he supports.
We know what Brandon
fully
says.
supports the effort, and we've got Philip who says, "I don't think it's a big deal. I don't understand why it's become one. Sit, stand, kneel, levitate, whatever, man."
Oh, if they could levitate, I'd watch football.
Yeah. I think if you could levitate, that would be more honoring the flag. But Brandon said,
would be lifting it up.
Brandon, I kind of talked over there, but Brandon said he supports.
He fully supports their action.
Fully supports their action to kneel.
Can we take like a real dark left turn and say,
Uh-oh.
hey, if we're going to talk about kneeling for the flag, can we talk about all of the assault allegations and abuse that goes on in the NFL?
The animal
the
abuse,
murder,
the murders,
Ben Rapelessberger. You remember that?
Yeah,
everybody forgot about that.
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't. I heard about that.
I didn't hear.
We live in a region
Brett
where there's
Favre
a lot of
sending
Steelers
his wiener to
fans. Yeah, we have a lot of Steelers fans here, and so right after Ben, how did you phrase that? Rapelessberger.
Yeah.
After that situation, then they went and got Michael Vick in. For a while.
The dogs,
the pit bull.
Wasn't there a guy just recently that like killed his friend or something?
It may be, but
look, my football knowledge is like, hey, Brett Favre was on the Green Bay Packers,
right,
yeah, and then I stopped.
after the rape thing, and then the dog killer quarterback.
Yeah,
my wife was like, nope, because you don't got a lot of dogs around.
A lot
her.
of it, wasn't there one guy that like backhanded his woman in an elevator, and so Aaron Hernandez. Why does that name rings a bell for some reason?
I don't want to libel anyone though.
No, I mean I'm not. It'd be slander, but we're okay. No, but I mean there have been tons of allegations that it's like
baseball players don't act like this.
I mean, guys, I get that you want to take a stance, but it's just like the U.S. My opinion of the U.S. being in other countries. Look, I get it, but we need to get our own house in order first before we could take a stand outside. I think the NFL should totally take an inward look at some of the people that are allegedly doing some things. Or did some things or whatever.
There's apparently a strict code of conduct in the NFL. There's just a lot of violations
that they're just not looking at.
Right. Oh,
I think it goes back to, I mean, they are, just like Jason said, they're grossly overpaid. They're entertainers.
Yeah,
I mean, you get paid to play for 2 hours.
Doesn't he make like $12 million on some?
And then there's the basketball thing. I don't know if we want to talk about that.
Well, let's ask this that you just brought up. Is does some sort of celebrity status or athletic status like give you any sort of political platform that is legitimate?
I think it gives you a platform, but as somebody said it best, and I love this, I'm not going to listen to politics from somebody who literally gets hit on the head for a living. So
or the actors who are paid to be somebody else.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to listen to them either.
Yeah,
we don't watch you for you. We watch you to be somebody else because we don't like you.
And I feel like I'm consistent on this because I don't like most people's opinion. I don't like news to have an opinion because that's not what they're there for. They're there to just the facts, ma'am, or at least they should be.
Unless they're going to discuss it all.
Yeah, and somehow. I don't like when athletes do it, especially if they do it and then they go lose. Which did not help Kaepernick at all. Everyone's like, it's racism that he didn't get a contract this year. No, he was a horrible quarterback last year, and the 49ers didn't win any games hardly. That's the truth.
I've heard he wasn't very good.
He wasn't very good last year. maybe he had a lot on his mind. Maybe he should have talked it out.
One of the shows that I watched said that he ranked like 23rd or something like that.
Yeah,
they were making fun of it, but
what's going on in basketball? Because I don't even know this one.
I don't know all the details and all the facts. It's not in the notes, but apparently there's been some scandal in college basketball because there have been coaches and recruiters that have been paying or getting money from either the NFL or shoe companies or some people and paying students, not scholarships, like under the table.
We're going to throw in a giant allegedly here.
Yeah.
That's what, FBI's been investigating it. I don't know a whole lot.
Oh, this led to the dude in St. Louis quitting today or fired, right?
Yeah. Wow. I don't know.
I have heard tell of some of this.
I've just heard little bits and pieces enough to piece the story together.
Now, that's a big enough deal for the FBI to show up?
Really?
I guess.
Oh, no, it's all the FBI
the feds
doing something.
I don't know.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, can't the NCAA take care of it?
AA.
Oh, my gosh. I was watching this.
You almost said NCAACP, didn't you?
Well, and here's why. I was watching a TV bloopers thing today of like classic broadcasters, and they he said tonight's basketball game brought to you by the NAACP. Whoa, hold on. Oh, well, that'll be the day. The NCAA. And I'm like, oh my God, he said that'll be the day. No, this was in the 1960s. But it was
hilarious.
I was like, oh no, you can't say that now.
You just did. I'm laughing.
So that's why that's why that happened.
I'm pretty sure.
Oh my gosh. So, sports people, I just think, just play foosball, man. Just play the foosball.
Have you seen the thing where, and I'd have to find the transcript of it, where Kobe Bryant was saying the thing like, I think people just voted for Donald Trump because they just... Man, I gotta find the quote, but it's he says something like they just was as educated or something like that, and it was like,
and then someone went back and changed the grammar.
It's this big quote, and somebody typed it out and then just went through and red marked like a teacher would.
Here's the one that got me this week, because Christians always have to start co-opting things. Christians, please stop doing this. I stand for the flag. I kneel for the cross.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, so one, separate your politics, separate your religion from your nationalism, because right there you just threw them together in a statement. I love America. I think it's a great country to live in. It's the best country to live in. We have all kinds of opportunity. I absolutely believe that. But this isn't about us. Like this situation going on, especially, I mean, I don't want to get back to the empty the pews, white Christian church thing, but I feel like we are making a subtle FU by making statements like that and everyone changing their profile pictures and doing all that. That's just my opinion.
I don't really get why Christians just can't keep their religion sort of
separate
private,
from their,
like to themselves a little bit.
Because they're evangelical.
Because we're supposed to be the light on the hill.
Well, yeah,
we're supposed to be the salt of the world.
Yeah, but we're supposed
to one's supposed to like us, but we forget that.
We're supposed to act that way, not just say the words and.
We're supposed to be salt and light, though, too. And right now, we're kind of
for whatever reason,
rotten vegetables.
Those memes, those cliches, they don't speak into anything either.
I know.
They're empty.
Yeah, I just wish we could find a better way to do it, because I do think as Christians, like the racial problems that are out there, we do need to tackle them. You know, where we see an injustice, and I know we live in an area that is like 95% white.
Yeah,
it's over 90%. Because I looked the stats up. Like, so there may be things that we don't see here. That you might see in other places, but where we see injustice, we've got to take care of it.
And I think we have an interesting perspective, because where we're at, even though I think you just saw the next part, didn't you? I think where we're at now in the country, our state wise anyway, is that I think we see a lot of this stuff as being foolish, I think, because even though our state is 95% white, we're also extremely poor.
Right.
And so whenever people talk about like injustices, we're like, you haven't lived here.
we
have our own injustice.
Sometimes.
You mention West Virginia to anyone in the world, if they even or in the country, if they even recognize that it's its own state,
which they usually don't.
Which most of the time they're like,
don't.
oh, it's close to Richmond, right?
Yeah, 1863.
Were you in Charlottesville? Was what I got a lot.
Yeah,
but if they recognize that it's a state, it's automatically labeled redneck, and no one wants to touch it.
Hillbilly and
yeah.
Those poor.
It is.
And it is in a lot of
we
areas.
We are a third world country sometimes in this state.
We've had mission trips to our state because of different things, not just because of disasters like floods and things.
And we only have just over 1 million people in the state.
Yeah,
right?
we are a very small population-wise
Yeah.
compared to a lot of other places.
Right. So when we're talking about this racism stuff, like, we understand that there are things we don't know.
Right.
So we don't want to come off as like...
And half the time, the only thing we have to go on, at least us, are news stories and facts and maybe not facts, but statistics that are being thrown out there and that kind of thing. Because we really don't have anything else to go on.
And some of those people that have started the conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. So...
And the fact that we none of us here speak like... is a testament to some of the education here, at least.
Yeah, we were all doing fine. We're all educated folk.
Which is rare for the rest of our state.
That's not bad.
We live in domes. Like once you leave some of the main city hubs, it's deliverance.
City hubs.
City hubs.
By city, we mean 50,000.
Yeah.
Bluegrass music.
AKA you can walk from one side to the other.
But there also is moonshine.
There is moonshine.
And just go white.
Oh.
No, he moved.
Oh, that's right. He moved. He's in Tennessee now.
That's too bad.
Oh, but that man's a treat, listeners. If you
you're welcome, Tennessee.
So we're getting ready to close this down with some really fun stories now. This has to be you, Nick.
Oh, this one's totally me.
The Lingerie Football League. What?
Have you never heard of that? See, I don't know sports, and I've heard of the Lingerie Football League.
I've heard of it, but I don't know anything about this.
The LFL. Okay, it's not. I don't think it's called the Lingerie Football League anymore, but that was what the article said. I think they've changed their name. But if you don't know what it is, okay, it is literally very well toned women who run around in underwear and shoulder pads and helmets, and they play football.
Nice.
That's all it is.
I thought that was Powder Puff.
I don't know. I mean, this is like the official
I didn't know it was
league.
Official league. I've just always heard of Powder
Now,
Puff
I heard
games.
about this years ago because I remember when MTV was still a thing, and they they actually showed it on MTV. And
is it tackle?
I think so. Yeah, and they played, and of course I watched at least one game because I was definitely intrigued who was in. But I mean, it is what it is. But essentially, they made a statement saying that they're all standing for the national anthem, and they're not kneeling for it at all. And I think even the guy who runs the whole thing was like, no, as a league, we're not kneeling, we're standing. And the article that we have, there's a video for it, and they basically show some of the girls they're like standing there like holding the national anthem, whatever, and they're holding onto their shoulder pads, like, because it goes like attaches around the neck too, right?
Yeah.
So they're like holding on to it, and then and there's music, and then they're just standing there being all hot and stuff. So I mean, whatever. But I never knew at that moment I was a football fan until that second I saw that article.
Oh yeah, well,
and I went, that's my national pride.
That's your kind of sport.
And boobs.
And go team. I guess that can apply to this as well as anything
Ashley's
else.
Even in speaking.
Hey, look, if they want to play football and hit each other, I'm totally fine with it.
Right.
I don't care.
Well,
more power to him, because I don't want to tackle football.
ladies and gentlemen, the Hef is dead.
Hef died last night or this
And
morning.
it didn't take 20 minutes for jokes to start coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man. There's been some funny ones.
Do you want to say some of those jokes? Because I didn't hear too many of them.
It's a lot of them is I saw one that was like, hey, there is the Muslims said you have 70 virgins and then you better hurry up because the Hef just showed up and that kind of stuff.
That's funny.
No one's saying Hugh Hefner's in a better place right now. so there's that kind of stuff.
He had kids, right? Did he have one kid at least?
I think he has two. He has a son and a daughter. He might have more. And the daughter's been running the empire for a few years.
Does she own the mansion? Because I think he sold it a while ago.
I think he did. Yeah. But, he was, 91? So he had a pretty good run.
Oh, yeah.
There were some interesting things that he did. There's a documentary on Amazon about him trying to get past some of those attitudes, the prudish attitudes about sex and all that kind of stuff, which probably needed to happen back then. We may be too far in that direction now.
Yeah.
I don't know. But once again, none of my business. Like I am where I am on the subject, and I'm not going to tell anyone else what they can't do. But
right.
but the rumors are that oh no, this was a joke too. Because I remember reading this. He said he got religious in his last days.
Yeah.
And he chose Islam because of the 70 virgins. Oh, man. I was going to say, man, he might have found Jesus. No, that's not how the story went.
That's not how the joke went. Oh, wait, that was a joke.
It was a joke. I thought it. So rest in peace. Rest in peace, Hugh. I think you.
Hope you died doing what you loved.
All right, boys.
What do you do with that?
Double entendre.
So we are going to end in prayer. I am just kidding.
One of these days you're going to do that, be serious, and we're just going to start laughing.
Right.
Because we don't think you're serious.
Right. One quick story. I was watching a sitcom on PureFlix. PureFlix really needs to start paying me now because I talk about them every week. I was watching a sitcom.
You're getting your money's worth out.
Yeah,
of
that's
that.
Yeah. My whole $10 a month. But they had a sitcom with like 13 episodes on it, and the same blonde guy that's in every show that they have. The one Christian actor, I guess. But every night, this man and wife sit in bed together and pray together, hold hands and pray. It's a nice gesture, and but they're passively aggressive, praying at each other. So, Lord, help my husband to see his mistakes, and it's played funny. They know it's a joke,
Okay.
and she's doing the same thing back and forth. I'm like, okay, I can respect this program because they're using something sacred to make me laugh.
I like it.
Okay, we're getting somewhere in the Christian arts. I feel like we can laugh at ourselves.
Sounds like
now.
a really tame Married with Children.
Ish, maybe even not all the sex. And here's what's funny about that show is I'll have to link the name of the show. I forgot the name of the show, but the two guys that are there's always some preacher types, right? The two guys that are always talking about stuff. They're talking about end-time prophecy all the time. They're just the two rednecks in town. And it's like a blend between that and conspiracy theory, and it's good. It's very well played. I'm pretty sure there was no season 2.
Oh, that's typically how it goes. All
Yeah.
the best shows only have one season.
Yeah, it probably offended people. I don't know. But there's another sitcom coming out with the same dude and the same woman playing his wife, who is his real life wife.
I was going to say, are
Yeah.
they married in real life?
It's the only way you can get into a bed with another woman, really.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
mean,
when
not
you're-
really, but
when you're
in the
Christian
Christian world, yeah.
It's not Kirk Cameron, right?
No, he's not funny at all.
He used to be.
Here's what I hate. People get saved and they lose their humor. I hate that. There's no reason
I'll
to.
give you that.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Once again, listeners, check us out online. If you've got any ideas of what you'd like to hear us talk about or anything like that, go ahead and jump on one of our social media channels, whether it be Facebook, Twitter, or any of those, like, go tell us what you think, what you want to hear, what you think of us. If you think we're jerks, let us know.
You don't have to tell me I'm a jerk. I already know.
Yeah. So, well, Nick, Ashley, thanks for being here, and we'll see you next week.
Go team. Good night.